Apple just announced that they're doing a 4-for-1 split, but is that good? Is it bad? What does it all mean? Well, regular splits are fine. Reverse splits, though, are bad. But Apple's not doing a reverse split. A reverse split means you get fewer shares at a higher price to prevent the stock from being delisted. It also makes it look more attractive to buyers versus a penny stock. In the case of Apple, however, it's done to make the stock look more affordable. If you're looking at it now going, 400, too rich for my blood. But if Apple said, hey, what if we, lowered the price a little bit? And that's done by doing a split. Now, if you had $5,000 to invest in Apple, right now, you'd get around 12 shares. But if you got that same $5,000 after the split at $100 a share, you would end up with 50. I wrote it down. But your $5,000 investment is still your $5,000 investment. The only concern is Apple stock might continue to go higher before the split, which means the adjusted price later down the road will be a little higher. All right, but so I already own Apple. What happens to me? How am I affected? All you have to do is multiply the amount of shares you currently have by 4. And that's how many shares you're going to end up with. So in my case, I've got 60 shares. So 60 times 4 is 240. And that's how many shares I'm going to get after the split. But my investment stays the same, my profit stays the same. The only things that change are I have now more shares at a lower price and a lower price for the stock. I have seen some people think, oh boy, I'm gonna quadruple my profits. No. That was my Tom Segura impression. You're not quadrupling your profits. Nothing is changing, even though some things are changing. Does that make sense? It's just making it more affordable looking on the outside. So the way dividends work is they pay you a yield. In the case of Apple, it's 0.85%. And they give you $3.20 per share that you own. If you only own one share of Apple, at the end of the year, you'll make $3.20. Doesn't really do you a lot of good. If you have 100 shares of Apple, on the other hand, though, you'll be making about $320 a year. And if Apple's stock price stays under $300 a share, you're able to get 1 share per year if you reinvest. But Apple is about $400 a share, which means at the end of the year, you won't really be getting even a full share. But now Apple has announced that they're doing a 4-for-1 split, so the stock price should drop to around $100. I say should because if Apple's price continues to go up, it'll split at a higher price. But let's say it does split at the current $400 price and drops to about $100. That $3.20 dividend remains the same, but the percentage will increase to 3.2% because the stock price is lower. So you're pretty much right. It's not that big of a difference. Unless, of course, it does go to 1,000. Then it is a big difference. For those who don't know, when it's a 4-for-1 split, all you do is you take the current price that the stock is trading for and divide it by 4. So if Apple is $400, 400 divided by 4 is 100, and that's what the price of the stock will be after the split at the end of August. But that's assuming Apple stays at 400. If Apple goes to 500, 500 divided by 4 is, I think it's like 125. I failed math in high school. Hold on. 500 divided by 4, 120. Yeah, 125. Don't tell my math teachers. So, it's not that much of a difference, but it is a difference. And if you were planning on buying 100 shares, it would be around the difference of around $250 more that you'd be spending on Apple after the split. And that can add up. So let's say you had $10,000 and you wanted to buy 100 shares of Apple stock. Now it's $400 a share currently. Well, it's a little higher today. But for the sake of easy math, let's just say Apple's 400 when they split. 4-for-1, the price goes to $100 per share. You can now spend your $10,000 and get 100 shares. But that split isn't until the end of August, which means Apple could, in theory, go a little higher, right? Today, right now, as of this video, it's $4.15. So let's say by the end of August, Apple is $500 a share. When it splits, it'll go to $125 per share. So your $10,000 to buy 100 shares at $100, not going to happen anymore. Now you'll need $12,500 to buy your 100 shares. That's what I mean when I say you're going to be spending a little more, in theory, potentially, probably. In likelihood, you probably will. It might not go to 500, but it will probably likely keep going a little higher. So generally, splits don't make you or lose you any money. In this case, you're just getting more shares at a lower price, but it's going to add up to the same amount of money for you in terms of what you've invested. Think of it like this. If I had a $100 bill and you had 5 20s, and you came up to me and you handed me your 5 20s and said, trade with me, we would each still have the same amount of money. I would just have more bills that would add up to the same price. That's essentially what's going on here. So if you bought Apple today at $4.25 and then say there was some catastrophic news and the stock dropped to $300, you'd have a loss. And you'd have that same exact loss when it's split. It would just go down to around $75 a share. And that would make it more affordable for people who wanted to buy the stock, but everyone who already had it wouldn't have a bigger loss or a smaller loss or anything different except more shares at a lower price.